Hey, this is René, and in this video we will write again on the CCI Expert Advisor. I rearranged the game plan a little bit since I took longer for the very first video of this series where we created the CCI handle and received the values from the CCI indicator. So in this video we will set up the CCI strategy where we will short if the CCI reaches a specific level and where we will buy the market if the CCI drops below a specific level, and we will add ASL and a take profit. And as always, if you like the content on this channel, please give it a thumbs up and also make sure to subscribe to this channel. Many people just view the videos but do not subscribe. I mean, it doesn't cost a thing and it really helps me to grow the channel, and it helps YouTube to provide or to show this content to more and more traders. But enough of this. Let's go back to the Meta Quartz language editor where we have the CCI system from the last video. If you didn't watch the last video, make sure to watch it before this video, because otherwise you will not understand anything. So what we have here is we already received the CCI values. So what we can do now is we can define the levels where we want to trade. Where we want to trade. So we will have a CCI buy level, and we can say, for example, this shall be minus 150. Doesn't really matter since it is a input variable and it can be changed. So every time the expert advisor is set up. So we will have two levels, the buy level and the sell level. And what we want to do now is we want to check if the price or the CCI level or value drops below one of these levels. So to do so, we can create a if statement, which is a control structure. And let me set up the first if statement real quick, and then we will have a look at it in more detail. So we will check if the value of the CCI at the last bar dropped below the CCI buy level, and we also want to check if the CCI value before this bar was still above the buy level, because this is a great way to make sure that we do not enter a position every time the CCI drops below or is below the buy level. Okay, so what we did here is we created a if statement, and a if statement is always built like this. So you have this code word if, then you have in parentheses here a condition that has to be true to enter the following body of this if statement. And the body again is always in curly brackets. So for this specific if statement, this is our condition. So you can create a condition using these operators, like these conditional operators, I think you call them. And this is also a operator that is a logical operator. I mean, I might mess up the terms here, but you can use these operators to build conditions. So for example, if we erase this part, this would also be a working condition. So the if statement simply checks if the CCI value inside of this CCI array at index 1 is smaller than this CCI buy level value, which the user can define as an input. And if we add the second part again, you can combine multiple conditions in an if statement using these two AND signs here pretty much. So this means that the whole condition is only true if both of these conditions are true. There are some other operators that you can use here. For example, if you use these two vertical lines pretty much, this would mean that only one of these two conditions have to be true for the complete condition to be true. But in this case, we want to check both. So we use this double AND operator here. So if this was true, we can print something like there is a buy signal, you should buy, like this. So if we compile this and if we run this program in the tester, we will see this should already work. So again, we choose the CCI system and make sure to use the visualized test here. And we can just go ahead and check the settings if everything is correct. We are using the current time frame, typical price, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is correct, so we click on start. This will open the tester for us again, and we will check if there will be signals, or there are some signals already, if we have a buy signal. So let's check. If we see a signal once we drop below this level. So what we can see here is right now we do not have a signal. CCI is moving up, but if this bar closes, we can see with the start of the 8 AM bar here, we see there is a buy signal. This is printed because in the previous 2 bars, the price dropped below this minus 150 level, which is somewhere here. Maybe we will have to adjust it to minus 200 because we will see too many signals, I think, but doesn't really matter. So what we see here is this is printed now with every single tick inside of this 8 AM bar, because it is true with every single tick. So as long as we are inside of this bar, in the previous 2 bars there was a crossover. So we have to make sure that this is only executed once per bar. And to make sure that this happens only once per bar, we can create another global variable, which we might call bars total. And inside of this variable, we will store the total amount of bars. So we will initialize it in the onInit function, and we will use the ibars function to receive the total amount of bars in a specific chart. And we can define this chart using the symbol and the time frame. And of course, we will use the CCI time frame for this. So since we initialized it here, we can now go to the onTick function, and here we will calculate the value again. We will store it inside of a new variable, which is called bars. So again, we use the very same function call here. Again, we will use the symbol and the CCI time frame. Now we check if bars total is smaller than the value inside of this bars variable. And in this case, we want to enter the body of this if statement, and we want to update the bars total variable like this. So this is a way. So first of all, you create this global variable, and the difference between a global variable and a local variable like this variable only lives inside of the body of this onTick function. So whenever the onTick function is called, this variable is declared, and when the onTick function terminates, so when it is finished, then this integer variable called bars, it will be deleted from the memory. And if you create a variable on a global scale, it is not deleted from the memory when a function terminates. It stays alive for the whole lifetime of the program. So it is sometimes useful or necessary to create global variables that stay alive throughout the whole life cycle of your program. And there's another benefit. You can use global variables in all the functions. So we can access it here and here in 2 different functions. This will not work for the bars variable. If I want to update the bars variable here, it does not work because it is not known in the onInit function, since it is only known in the onTick functions. But if I want to update the bars total variable here, this works because the bars total is a global variable, so it is available in every function. So what we did here is we created this global variable, we initialized it in the onTick function, and then in the onInit function, and in the onTick function we then, for every single tick, we check the current amount of bars inside of this chart. And if this amount of bars is greater than the value stored inside of the bars total variable, then we want to enter the body of this if statement, do all the stuff that is necessary to get the signals, and we want to update the bars total variable. So for the next run of this onTick function, this condition will not be true. So it will only be true for every new bar. So what we can do here is we can add another if statement and we combine them using this else if expression. So if this is true, the second one doesn't have to be checked. So we can use a else if to make sure that it is like this. So we just write the opposite condition pretty much for the cell level. So we check if the previous bar CCI value is above the level and the bar before that is below the level. And then we can print something like there is a cell signal. And you should cell in this case, of course. And maybe we can even rearrange these values to 200 because this will make sure that we will not have so many signals. So stop it, run it again. Whoops, there's a bug in the MetaTrader 5. They need to fix it. Okay, so just close the testing window if this happens. So we can start it again, and we will now see the print statement is there only once per bar. So you can see, whoops, that was far too fast. So you can see we now have all the information here. So we can see at the 1st or the 7th of January at 1:30 there shall be a cell signal. Yes, this is true because these two bars crossed the upper threshold here, the 200 line, and before that there was a buy signal, and this is also true because before that there were two bars crossing the minus 200 line. And then we can see another signal at the 4th of January at 15:30, and this is this signal, I think. So we have a sell signal here, and this is also true. So you can see this was already enough code to check if there is a signal. And this, of course, does not satisfy us because we want to open positions. And whenever we open positions in MetaTrader 5, we can use a predefined so-called class for this. And you can find this class in the include folder. So if you ever look at the navigator, you can check include, whoops, and there you can find the trade subfolder, and there you can find the trade.mqh file. And this is a file that holds several lines of code, and it is a class file. So there is the definition of a class. This is the C-trade class. A class is pretty much a data structure that can hold variables and functions, and you can use it as a blueprint pretty much, of which you can then create so-called objects. This is a little bit advanced, I would say, so I will not explain it in detail in this tutorial, but make sure to check out the links below this video. There you will find a link to the mql5 or MetaTrader 5 masterclass where I explain this in detail. There you will learn everything you have to know about object-oriented programming and the C-trade class. But for this video, just make sure to copy this line, use this include statement here, and then make sure to use these spiky brackets, don't know how you can call them, and inside of them write the path pretty much to this file starting in the include folder. So if we compile this, you can see there is something changing down here in the toolbox. So if I remove this, it just compiles this one file. But if I add this include statement, it compiles several files, because now we also compile the trade.mqh file. And if we have a look at this again, the trade.mqh file itself, it includes several more files. So we will have a lot of code inside of our program now that we get completely for free just using this include statement here. And we can now, as I told you already, create an object of this C-trade class. And you can do it like this. This is pretty much just like a variable declaration. And in fact, this is an object variable. So the type of this object variable is C-trade. And we can now use this trade object like this. Trade, then you have this point operator where you can access all the functions from this C-trade class. For example, here we want to buy. So we use the buy function like this. So just write the trade object variable, then this point operator, and then the buy function. And then the rest is pretty much the same as with any function. You just provide the parameters, which is first the volume, so the lots that you want to trade, and I always recommend to make this a input variable. So we say lots, and this can be, for example, 1 lot or 0.1. We do not want to go crazy here. So lots, and then we have the symbol that we want to trade. Of course, we will use underscore symbol for the chart symbol again. Then we will provide the price, the SL, and the TP. In this case, we can just go with 000. And we can have a comment, CCI buy, like this. Make sure to realize that the comment is a string value, so you will have to put it in these quotation marks. You might ask yourself why I put 000 here. This will make sure that we open a position at the current market price and we do not provide a SL or a TP. This is a thing that we do in the next step. And we also want to have a sell position. When there is a sell signal, we can just copy the line and we write CCI sell as a comment instead of CCI buy. So this is already enough. Let's jump back into the tester, run the program again, and we will see this program now opens beautiful positions. So whoops, first position is already incoming here, I think. Takes a little while to load, but yeah, we already dropped below the 200 level. So we open a buy position with 0.1 lots at the current market price without a SL and a TP. And whoa, as the market goes on, you can see for every signal there is a new buy position. So this is really, really cool. And yeah, there should be sell positions. Yeah, there is a sell position, for example. So you can see this beautiful code is already working, but it is a complete mess since we create too many positions and they are never closed. So what we will do in this tutorial, we will also add SL and TP values for our positions. And the easiest way to do so is to calculate the TP and SL. And you can do this providing an input variable for this. For example, you can say TP%, and maybe say, yeah, oh no, we will say TP points like this. We can say 100 points, and we can say SL points, 100 SL points. Or maybe we will have a TP of 300 or a SL of 300, and you can also have a TP that is smaller, of course. Yeah, just provide some standard values. I mean, they can be changed by the user since they are input variables. And we can now use these values to calculate the TP and SL prices. So what we do first is we calculate the ask price here for this symbol, since buy positions are always opened at the ask price. So what we do here is we use the symbol info double function, because this is a function that lets us receive a lot of information from a specified symbol. So the first parameter we have to define is the symbol that we want to receive information from. And you can see it as soon as you write this comma, it suggests all the possible options, all the identifiers. This is a enumeration, of course, just like the enum timeframes or enum applied price. So you can choose any of these. And in this case, of course, we will choose symbol ask. So just press enter if your symbol ask is highlighted, and it will add the symbol ask ID here. So you can end the line, and this will now return the current ask price of the symbol and store it inside of this ask variable. And whenever you work with prices, it is always a good idea to round them. So we will use the normalize double function and round it to the precision of the digits of this specific symbol. So the normalize double function is just a function that rounds a value, a double value, to a specific accuracy. And we have to provide the number of digits that we want to round this value to. And the underscore digits system variable, you can read it in the documentation, it is just like the underscore symbol variable, a system variable, and it always stores the number of digits after a decimal point for the current symbol. So in this case, for US dollar, Japanese yen, it would be 3. So we round all the values to a maximum of 3 numbers after the decimal point. And I want to, no, I do not want to copy it 2 times. Yeah, I do not copy it at all. And now, sorry, we calculate the TP price. So for a buy position take profit, you take the entry price, which is the ask price, and you add the TP points and multiply it with point. Underscore point is again a system variable, and it holds the point value for the current chart symbol. The point variable is always the smallest price change of the last digit pretty much. So in this case, a point would be 0.001, so the smallest price movement. And if we multiply this with the TP points value, it would be 150 multiplied with 0.001, which is 0.150, like this. So this would be the distance that we will add to the ask price as a TP. And this is what we do here. And again, make sure to round this, because this is a price that we want to use to open positions. So it is always a good habit to round these prices. For the SL calculation, it's pretty much the same, just the other way around. We subtract the SL points from the asked entry price, like this. Just copy these 2 lines and then make sure to exchange these 0 placeholder values with the ask, the SL, and the TP. And do not mess up the order. You will see what parameter is requested in this little preview here. What we can do now is we can copy these lines and paste them for the sell signal. So in this case, we just exchange all these ask variables here, because, and make sure to add the symbol bid identifier here, because a sell position is always open at the bid price, not at the ask price. And for the TP and SL calculation, we will of course have to exchange these mathematical operators. So in this case, if you did everything correctly, you can now provide the bid, the SL, and the TP for the sell function. And if you run the program again, this should now again create beautiful positions, but they will also have a TP and a SL. So whoops, this is going fast. So we have a buy position again with a TP of 150 points and a SL of 300 points. And yeah, this is working really good. So I think we are happy, and you can see all these buy positions are hitting the SL. This is not really good, but again, this is not optimized in any way. So this is just yeah, like the basic strategy. We will have to make sure that we will optimize it later on, but it is working. So positions are opened and closed. This is much better than the previous run where we just collected positions. So I'm kind of happy with this. And this is, if we look at the game plan again here, this is all we wanted to do in this tutorial. So in the next tutorial, we will add a moving average filter. So we do not take any trade, but only the trades that are in the general trade direction. And I have to make sure that the order is not messed up here. So make sure to subscribe so you do not miss any of the videos from this series. And we will see each other in the next video. Until then, have a great time. Bye.